am so pleased to bring to us this evening and to welcome Louise George. And I mentioned in my email to you guys earlier, Louise is an actor. She is a international speaker. She is a writer. She has. We're going to be discussing the most recent publication, but she's got so much more going on at the moment. And also, she is a coach, a business coach, and a mindset coach. And she's got a lot to tell us about that. And so many of us, we like to think, that we have a good mindset and we have the practices going and we're doing our affirmations and we're doing all kinds of things that are keeping us at least in a positive frame of mind. But there's an awful lot more to it than that. And it's actually also an awful lot simpler than we might think. So now, Louise, can we say hello to you?
Thank you for having me. It's so gorgeous to be here in your Tuesday night club and to see everyone coming in.
Well, do you know something? And it is the Tuesday Night Club for wise and ageless goddesses. And generally, we say for women in menopause, midlife, and beyond. But wise and ageless goddesses come in all ages, Louise, and that's why we're so welcome to have you here at this stage, one of our younger guests, and also a number of other people are joining us this evening because they want to see you too. So, Louise, can I just first of all say that our first meeting was very serendipity. It was out of the blue, and it was something that literally changed the whole course of my life. And I was actually looking through a directory, and I came across your Bodhi Babes blog,
Mhm.
which was this is about 10 years ago, guys, and maybe a little later, maybe only 8 or so. And I absolutely fell in love with Louise's mind in her blog. And I contacted her because she was about to run a workshop. And I thought that my daughter, Sonia, who lives in London, would love to join Louise's workshop. And I was speaking with her. And just as I explained that it was for Sonia, Louise said the magic words. She said, "Trina, come yourself." And I literally just felt that it was the exact right next thing to do. And I said, okay, I am. Poor Sonia didn't get to go. I'm the person who got to meet Louise. And as they say, the rest is history. And I was just so glad that we did on that occasion. There's so much more since then, Louise.
I know, the same. I can't believe so much time has passed, but it does, doesn't it? And yeah, it's been 10 years since Bodhi Babes. So that was the first edition, if you like, of this brand, the coaching and the mindset and manifestation work. So it's been 10. I can't believe it's just gone by in a flash. But yeah, 10 years later, here we are.
You did lots of other things beforehand, and most of what comes through you is that you've moved intuitively through your life. I mean, there's one where you were working in a dream job, an advertising agency, a huge advertising agency, and just as you're about to receive that contract, what happens? You
I burst into tears is what happened, much to my boss's horror. I think he looked absolutely mortified, sat opposite, he didn't know what to do with me. But that was what I already knew. It wasn't for me. I had an amazing job and career laid out for me, and really didn't know until that moment, and my body let me know what I actually intuitively did know, that it wasn't. I wanted to do my own thing. I've always wanted the freedom to create in my way and not for someone else, and as scary as that was, I pretty much quit on the spot. I said, this isn't for me, this isn't what I'm meant to be doing. And I really didn't know what I was meant to be doing exactly at that time, but I just knew it wasn't that.
Mhm. So you moved then intuitively through other areas of your life. You had your own business a couple of times, um, and then was it when you had the Bodhi Babes kind of, what would you say, community, that you began to develop a greater interest, a focus? How was it that you actually came to this kind of work?
It's been a long journey. Actually, I trained as an actress, and that is still very present in my life. And with that, you're out of work more often than you're in work for most actors. And I'm so creative, and I've always been so ambitious. I couldn't just do any old job in between. And so that was kind of my first venture into business with my ex-partner. He had his own business. And I started working with him initially, and I was like, wow, you can run your own business and do your own thing. And it really opened my eyes to the fact that actually there's something I can do here for myself. I don't have to work for someone else. And that also means that I can still act and create without having, either to pick something, for so long. And maybe that's been resonant for some of you as well. people always said, you have to pick something. You can't be an actor and this, or you know, get a real job. Acting's not a real job. And luckily I've always been very stubborn and have my own mind, and I've been very curious, and have always, you know, since a child, done things my own way. And I really stuck to that. Actually, I'm going to listen to my intuition and follow my calling. I didn't even know I was doing that initially, but it was just, I was just always led by what felt right to me, not what others were telling me, even though those voices are so loud. You know, society really isn't set up for us to go and do our, it's much better now over the last decade or so. We're more encouraged to have our own businesses. It's much easier than ever with social media and online to have our own businesses. But back in the day, you know, 20 years ago, when I first went into business with my partner, it wasn't that easy, you know. And so it would have been so much easier for me to get the secure job in advertising, you know, stick with the secure job in advertising. So it's been a whirlwind. It's been lots of different things, trial and error. I've had a couple of different businesses myself, first with my partner, and then I went into property business, and I had a fitness coaching business, which had each thing now, you know, and now I can look back, has led me to what I'm doing today. Now it all makes sense. 10 years of this coaching business, all of those things, 20 years in business, different businesses, and my interest in my own personal development has really led me to the last decade of helping others with their mindset and businesses.
Absolutely. I love that you say that, because it has become, how can I be of service with all of
Yeah.
this that you've learned? You've
Yeah.
really turned that around. And that's what's so fascinating about the work that you do, because that's the kind of energy that shines through everything you do. I've always said that when you do a mastermind, or and Louise is the most generous coach you will ever come across. She does hour-long, 2 hour-long, sometimes day-long masterminds with groups of people, all tuning in, passing on that information, even as much as you can, even, you know, planting the seed or awakening a curiosity or an interest in people. And I've seen that about you so much. It's lovely to see that that is that full circle that you've got, and there's still so much more to come, isn't there?
I love it. And that's the key. And thank you for your kind words. Like I love it. It's easy for me to give at that level, because I have got to a point where I love everything I do. And I feel very blessed. I'm not going to say lucky, because I have created this. You know, I've worked really hard to get where I am today. I've been really intentional about the choices that I've made. It hasn't been easy, but where I am today, I wake up every day and I love my life. And I feel so blessed to be surrounded by incredible people like you, to be able to, there was a coach of mine once said his entire business model was to have interesting conversations with extraordinary people. That's what I get to do every day.
Isn't that fabulous? These
Right?
are things that people, you know, sometimes we don't even know that this is what we want for ourselves, to have interesting conversations, you know, with interesting people every day.
Yeah.
Um, to have someone share that in itself is often a real gift, because you mentioned earlier you were curious, you were always curious as how something would turn out. I mean, even if you don't mind relating, um, and I remember being blown away when you told the story of how you actually ended up in a magnificent and in Hollywood, basically, and working opposite Damian Lewis and a number of other A-list actors. That was, again, a curiosity, and you found a different way. You know, the doors. You can imagine being an actor, uh, trying to get through those gatekeepers, and yet you did it at quite a young age as well.
I did. And that was one of those pinch me moments where I was on a set, like with Susanna White, who's an incredible Hollywood director, Damian Lewis, who I'd often admired in things and wanted to work with. And I had a tiny part in that, but it was one of those moments I looked around the room and I was like, I did it. I got myself in the room and I'm around the table with these people. And it was really acting that has laid the foundation for me, being, it's given me the confidence to be able to do these things, not just in acting but in business. And the biggest thing for me was not being afraid to hear no. I actually enjoy hearing no. Like again, being in personal development helps so much. And another coach of mine said no is just an acronym for next one. So go out there and collect those no's, and know that every single no that you're collecting brings you closer to that just one yes you need. And that's how I got myself in that room. And every other table I've sat at and every other opportunity I've had is that I'm just really hungry for it as well. Like if I have a desire for something, I'm going to make that happen. I'm really, and again, acting has gifted me the ability to see the vision so clearly when I have that desire, and to know that, and I talk about this a lot with Manifestation Freq, that the vision is a trailer for what's to come. And the desire is the manifestation. That desire you have is already manifest, and it is calling you to it. It is meant for you. You wouldn't have the desire if you didn't also have the capacity to manifest it. And that's what I have, for me, cultivated within myself. It's like I have this desire for a reason. Like the acting will never leave me alone. It's always there tapping me on the shoulder. And so opportunities like that have been where I've just seen something that I just knew I had to at least give my all to creating that opportunity. And if it was a no, it wasn't meant for me, and I would move on. And I've always gone about things in not traditional ways. So with that job, for example, I saw that they were filming in London. They were filming a part of this in London. And it just spoke to me. And I was like, this John le Carre spy thriller, it's filming in London. I haven't acted for a while. I would love to get a part in that. Damian Lewis is in it. And I really wasn't attached to it, but I just felt called to be in this film. And I was like, I'm going to go straight to the production team. I'm going to bypass, because they're already filming, went straight to the production team. I said, look, I'm here. I'd love to be involved in this. Sorry, we're already cast. I spoke to casting directors. I went down the traditional route, the non-traditional route. They told me they were already cast. And I was like, I'm meant to be in that film. I know there's a way. And I kept calling, and they said, oh, we'll let you know if any day player roles come up. And then I went to drinks with a friend. I wasn't supposed to be going out. She was meeting another friend. She said, look, just come for one drink until my other friend arrives. I said, okay, I'll come with you for one drink. And we got chatting. We were having a lovely time. When an evening just flows. We had a couple of glasses of wine in London, and her friend turned up, and we just hit it off. And as we were chatting, she was asking what I was doing, and I mentioned acting. I said, oh, that's so funny. My parents have a house in Essex, I think it was, and they rent it out for films, and they've actually got a film crew there at the moment. They're doing this John le Carre thing. And I said, I've been trying to get in that film. I would love to be in that film. And she said, well, it's funny you should say that, because I actually know the first AD. I went to school with him. Do you want me to have a word? And so what do you know? The universe conspired to bring all the right people. And this is how it works. When you have that desire, you're unattached to it, and you just are open to playing in the world. And this is what my curiosity has I'm open to saying yes now more than I ever have, because these things have a way of working out. And so that's just a fun story of how that happened.
Well, it's more than fun because it's a real example of the difference between you knowing that you are meant to be in that film and you knowing that you should be in that film, or that film will be the next stepping stone to the rest of my career or whatever. And that's the thing actually that I find really interesting. A lot of the women here, some of them would be older, may have come to almost the end of a particular career, and because of the wisdom of age, they know what they do want, and they know what's for them, and they know what they don't want anymore. But for most of us, it takes a lifetime of learning that. But there's a big difference between knowing what's meant to be and knowing what you should be doing. And that's and very often, particularly for younger people, they spend so much time just keeping on trying to force something to happen because that's the way it should be. And so in every one of those, you're actually blocking out that very strong sense that this isn't right for me. And that's important, isn't it, Louise?
It's really important, and it's one of the main elements of my coaching, is helping people to get out of their heads the shoulds, the coulds, the have tos, because it's how we are programmed to keep ourselves safe. Our ego will do its best to keep ourselves, keep us not doing anything different, not standing out, not taking the road less traveled. But actually that's where the magic happens. That's we all have our own unique manifestation freak, as I say. We all have our own unique gifts and desires and skills, and so that's my job as a coach, is helping people whatever life stage they're at, because at any age you can change your life. You can have new incredible opportunities and experiences. I'm working with a client tomorrow in London, and she is 72 now, and she's just started a new business. She is kickboxing. She's come to the end of a really incredible career in law, and she's now coaching herself actually, and doing incredibly well. So there's always an opportunity to create the life you want wherever you've got to, because it is constantly changing for all of us anyway. What was once our mission and purpose and desires will evolve as, you know, with different life stages. And so for me, I work with multi-brain integration, which is knowing how to differentiate between those shoulds and coulds and have tos, and what the heart truly desires, what it is that you really want, and then looking at how you can take steps to making that happen. And for some, like me, that will be big leaps and you know, really just going for what you want. And for others, it will be a gentler approach, and it's really an individual journey, and it's finding what is meant for, you know, what fits for you.
Wow, that's exactly what we're talking about. And now that you've mentioned it, you know, manifest. Can I hold this up, guys? Can you see this? Because
Thank you.
this is Louise's latest manifestation. This is her book. And one of the things I just want to say before, do you mind if I read a tiny paragraph from it, Louise? Because there's
No,
something
please do.
about the thing I particularly loved about this and devoured when I got it. In fact, I got it on Kindle first. I very briefly, I'm going to say this to you guys. And for some reason, if you go to Amazon UK, it's not available. There's something I think in there, it may be a kind of Brexit thing. I'm not entirely certain. But go to amazon.de, that's Amazon Germany, no trouble at all. Your account is still there, and you just order it from there, and then it's sent on to you. So Louise's book, Manifestation Freq, amazon.co.de, if you want to get a copy of that. Otherwise, go to Amazon UK and get the Kindle version of it. But what I wanted to say about it was that I listen to you, and I really enjoy your podcasts. I enjoy your gorgeous, beautiful Facebook pages, and you've got Instagram pages, and you've got lots of very, very glossy, very elegant content, and always something really fascinating and interesting. And I often said to myself, I just want to waken up every day and listen to a couple of lines of what Louise is saying, because it's so inspiring. We had Christiane Northrup here a couple of weeks ago, and she said that every morning she wakens up, she opens a book, and she reads a few paragraphs of inspiring reading, and it absolutely raises her frequency, Louise. And that
Mm.
is why I was so thrilled to get this, because you can open this book at any page and there's something in it for you, and very often it's exactly what you need to hear. And that's what I find so magical about this book. This is a paragraph from it, and it's where Louise asks, what is manifestation really? And she said, manifestation isn't magic. I know it can seem like it, but actually it's very practical, which is why wishing, hoping, and praying doesn't get what you want. The truth is, manifestation isn't something you have to learn to do. You are manifesting all the time, simply by existing. The question is, are you manifesting things consciously or by default? And that's fascinating, that, because that means we're all creators, we're all manifestors, but what are we actually manifesting? And that's really a very interesting perspective.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And this was I was fascinated from the moment I learned about universal laws, manifestation. When I read the book, The Secret, I was in, you know, I was hooked. I was like, yes, that really resonates with me. But the question I had after reading The Secret, which is brilliant, was, what's the secret? You know, the book is brilliant, but I still didn't really understand fully. And perhaps if I went and reread it, I would now. But at the time, I was like, I don't really understand how to apply this to my life. How do I actually, you know, do this intentionally? And so that's what I have become a student and teacher of over the last decade. I made it my mission to demystify manifestation, if you like. You know, I'm very spiritual and I love all of the, you know, the woo practices and magic, but it is something that we're doing all the time. You know, this is about our subconscious programming and our nervous system regulation. It is about the actions that we're taking as well. And so Manifestation Freq, the book, and my membership is all about helping people to intentionally program their subconscious mind, work with their energy, and take aligned actions so that they can manifest more of what they want and less of what they're doing on default because of their current programming, their current beliefs and energy. Because, you know, subconscious is running our life, and 95% is, you know, we're just doing the same thing over and over again every day. And so this is about a pattern interrupt. This is about knowing what you really want, and then aligning your mindset, energy, and action so that you can intentionally create that and have that experience.
Mm. And you said that, so very often people will say, "Oh, why is my life like this? Why is it so? Why can't I have what I want? How come everyone else gets what they want?" And that really is the question, isn't it? That they're answering for themselves is because you're doing the same thing every day, expecting a different result, really. And your work and what you advise people is, that lovely thing you say, the 4 C's: connect, clear, choose, create. And that's really, I mean, that's a very concise way of saying it, but this is where you guide people through that process so that what they are doing in the end is that you say to them, think, feel, act as if it's already happened. You said earlier the vision is the trailer for, will you finish that?
The vision is the trailer for what's to come.
The vision is the trailer for what's to
Yeah,
come.
your vision is a trailer for what's to come. What you can imagine, you can and will manifest. Especially with, and the hack to manifestation is really using the power of imagination with elevated emotion, because we're not really manifesting what we want. We are manifesting what we're aligned with, and this is why manifestation isn't magic, it's a frequency. And
Mhm.
frequency being made up of our mindset, our energy, and our actions. And so it is about knowing what you really want, and then getting yourself to a place of not just believing it's possible, but knowing it's done. And we've all been there. I'm sure all of you can think of a time where you were just like, I know this is done. You're so passionate about something, you can see the vision so clearly, you have such a strong burning, I call it soul fire, desire for it. You just have that knowing. That's the place we want to be to. This is where we collapse timelines and manifest more of what we want, and more quickly, because we're in alignment with it. Our energy is intentionally focused, because that we are so, like when we're in love, we're falling in love, and that is all we can focus on, and we have those rose tips. That's the magic place. And then asking, what are the actions that I can take to put myself in this experience, to bring this closer to me? Because we have to show up. A lot of what is spoken about manifestation makes it seem like we can just sit on a meditation pillow and on our way to success, but we have to also participate in this physical 3D reality.
Mhm. And you say in other words, so it's talking about frequency. A lot of people can understand, for example, they understand kind of magic, serendipity, lovely encounters and messages from out of the blue and that. But frequency is something that a lot of people will have find more difficult to understand. Yet what you're saying is it's something that we do every day. Are there ways in which we can align our frequency, elevate our frequency?
Feeling good is the whole point,
Ah,
because we're manifesting what is in alignment with how we're most feeling.
mm,
So if we're constantly around negativity, if we're constantly watching the news, for example, and around people who are negative, who say things like it's not possible, you can't do that, eventually that's going to have an impact, whether they're the voices in our own head and the words that we're speaking. So the fastest way is to ask, how do I want to feel? And this actually is connected to Danielle Laporte's work that I know you love as well, with the design map. How do I want to feel, and what can I do to feel that way as much as possible, without bypassing any emotions? We absolutely have to process all of our emotions, because otherwise they become stuck, and that will block us from manifesting as well. We need to, we're all going to grieve, we're all going to have sad days. It is important to honor our emotions and allow them to be just that, emotions, energy in motion. So while honoring our emotions, but doing what we can to feel as good as we can most of the time. And actually, there have been many that, we all know about love and gratitude being so powerful in elevating our frequency. But the most powerful frequency is authenticity.
lovely.
Right. And there have been experiments like the Spain scale of emotion, which have proven people are most magnetic when they are being themselves, when they are being, and so this is really intentional manifestation, is really deep transformation. It's about not getting anything or becoming anything. It's about reconnecting to who you really are. It's about removing anything that's in the way of you being your natural high frequency. We're all naturally high frequency beings, but we get bogged down with the shoulds and coulds and have tos and tough times. But it's about really taking care of ourselves as best we can and feeling as good as we can as much as possible.
I think, and I really get you. I mean, one of the things that you say is I may have said already, what you consume, you become. So if you're watching all the dreadful news, all the horrible climate changes, or the terrible storm that's heading towards Florida, or you're in conversations, I often say, the things like when someone comes in, once you get to a certain age, and they say, oh, my hip is hurting today. And the next thing someone says, yeah, my back's really bad. Oh, but it's to be expected at our age. These beliefs, these memes, these things that we are kind of infected with by the people we have around us, we don't even realize they're bringing our frequency down, that they're lowering our. And when our frequency is lowered, Louise, is there a way of knowing? Is there a physical, way of knowing that we're actually in a low frequency state?
Yeah, it very simply, how do you feel? If you're feeling not great, then you're probably in low vibrational frequencies. But it's asking, why am I in this place? Is it genuinely an emotion that I need to process? Because I am going through a challenge right now, and it is important to be where we're at, and again, process those emotions.
Mhm.
Or is this my general life state? Am I allowing myself to be stuck in victim mode, right? There are four main life states that I talk about: victim, empowered, awakened, surrendered, awakened. Victim, we all dip in and out of all of these life states. We all know when we're being a victim, when life is happening to us and it's so hard and woe is me. But it's really important to recognize that. And the more you practice being intentional and mindful of, you're being self-aware, taking radical self-responsibility, the less time you'll spend in victim state. We have to take responsibilities for ourselves and know, okay, and I do it, I still do it. I catch myself, complaining about something, but I'm very quick to bring myself out of that, because the longer you spend in any life state, the more you're going to perpetuate that experience. You are going to keep having these things mirrored back to you. Empowered is where most of the self-help industry is targeting. It is helping people to understand you can take control here, you can get yourself out of victim state, you can have, be, and do anything. But it is really focused on self. It's like, yeah, I can do it, I can make it happen. These motivational speakers that are like, you can do it, and it takes a lot of our own personal energy. Where I work with my clients, as you know, is more in a surrendered place, an awakened place, knowing that actually we are not doing this alone. We can work with our communities like you have here. There are universal laws that are always working for us that we can leverage. And depending on your beliefs, I believe I'm surrounded by my spiritual entourage all the time. So it is opening up to, actually, we are interconnected. We are never alone. And so that is where the magic is, right? It's tapping into the quantum field of everything and knowing that we are supported. And this is where we become more surrendered to the flow of life. This is where everything becomes a bit lighter, even in the most challenging times, because we are supported by our angels and our guides, and the universe is really has our back. And this is where we feel good more of the time, because we're playing with the magic of the universe. We're not so bogged down by the 3D, and we can still be aware of what's going on in the world, but it is not consuming us, it is not weighing us down. I'm very, very aware of what is going on in the world, but I'm able to keep myself separate from it, in that I am responsible for my energy, and I will not be caught up in the chaos of the world. There's a saying that came to me years ago when I was going through my own dark night of the soul, if you like, and that was, you are the lighthouse, not the storm. And I feel that very much now, with so much chaos and heartbreak in the world, that we can send our prayers and energy and love to, but also not getting caught up in, and very appropriate with the storms going on at the moment, not getting carried away with it, the chaos, but actually remaining the lighthouse, being responsible for our own mindset, energy, and actions, and doing the best we can to take really good care of ourselves while that's going on around us, which is challenging, but that's the work, right?
Well, I love what you're saying, because it's absolutely true. It's so easy to get caught up in the hopelessness, or a sense of almost, a lack of empowerment, not able to do anything. And yet, what you're actually saying is, become the lighthouse within your own environment where you possibly can. I want to get to questions in a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to come back to one thing, and this is something that is endlessly reassuring, I think, for people, but very often it's very hard to see. And that is that when you feel very often most stuck, most despairing, most, disillusioned, my own experience has taught me that actually this is the point when it's all going to change. It's actually a hugely important point. And if you're feeling that way, that's the moment when the biggest things coming to you, the opportunities are coming, and they're trying to get your attention. It's why you're feeling so disillusioned. And I think that it's an important thing for a lot of women, particularly the kinds of people that women that we have in this group, because very often they've come to a stage in life where what they've been told is the next step. You know, retirement, it's all downhill from here. You know, it's the decay and the decay and decline, or you know, what's to be expected at my age. That's a really disheartening sense, and life becomes quite disillusioning. But that is actually the point when you are about to become with all of the freedom, all of the experience in life, all of the opportunity that you've had to develop or discover your own particular passions or unique gifts and that kind of thing. That's the moment, Louise. And I know that is something that when I worked with you, you were able to show that to me. So just, I want to reel it back a tiny bit. Have you got something that you would like to say to people who are at that stuck, excuse me, point in their life where they think that, you know, they've been trying, they've been hoping? I know you touched on it earlier, but what is the next step for people like that? For
Well,
people?
first of all, there's no such thing as stuck. So knowing and remembering that the only certainty, one of the only certainties in life is that, and it's always moving, it's always changing. Energy is constantly moving and changing and shifting. So even when we feel stuck, we're not. Everything continues to move and evolve. The most important thing for me has been to learn to love being in the muck, to know that it's a part of life. Life is not, and this is, you know, one of the things that we can think and feel when we're looking at other people, especially on social media, that how they seem to have it all together and how do I not, when we're, especially when we're going through tough times or feeling stuck. No one has it all together. No one has it all figured out. We're all doing the best we can with what we have. We will all have challenges. And success is not just one straight line, and life isn't, right? It's a roller coaster. We will experience ups and downs. That is inevitable. I love it when I'm in the muck, when I'm going through a challenge. Like I went through a huge relationship, a 16-year relationship ended a couple of years ago. And it just pulled the rug out from underneath me. Where I thought my life was going, suddenly took a turn and was going in a different direction. Just being with it, not trying to push or force anything. And knowing that this too will change. Cliche, but true, right? These cliches for a reason. And really spending time tuning in and listening to your heart and asking, what is it I truly desire in this moment? Or you can do it for a bigger picture. Your heart will always communicate with you. It's a very quiet voice. And this is not woo, this is science. So this is the work that I do. It's where spirituality and science meet. Your heart intelligence, your heart organ is an independent intelligence, an independent brain that's responsible for your vision, for your desires. And when we feel stuck, it's because we are disconnected from our heart intelligence. We have incoherence between our head and our body. We're often so stuck in our head, I call it operating from the neck up, where we're trying to think our way to the next step, think our way out of challenges. And this is where we feel stuck, because we're in a loop of a pattern that doesn't feel good. So actually taking time in stillness and silence and asking, what is it I truly desire? Maybe nothing will come to you immediately, and that's okay. It's also trusting that. But if you spend enough time connecting inwards, the answers are there. They're always there. So it's giving yourself the time to be in the space, because that is also where creation happens. Space is where everything has been birthed from.
That I'm so glad you said. Making space, sacred space, is the beginning of everything, isn't it? And then you know, and you often talk about how you do that. You make time for your meditation. You have some great meditations as well in your program. Excuse me a moment. I mean, even the notion of checking in with yourself, so journaling, is a really important part of that as well. And then setting the intention for the thing that you want. And I remember having a conversation with somebody once who said that their client wanted to have children, but there were no children coming. And the question she asked them was, where would a child, live? What room? Where is the space for the child in this house? And they said, well, it's really the room where we have all our stuff from the apartment when we left there and we came to live here. And she said, well, you've got to make space for that. And then
Mm.
they said, well, what about the time the two of you spend together? And it turned out they were both working so they could pay the mortgage, so that they never spent time together. There was no space. And it was only when they
Mm.
realized this, that it wasn't even the kind of space they were talking about. They didn't realize that this was not welcoming for any soul to come and join their family. And that changed everything. But I love that that is something that you talk about, creating space for what it is that you actually want. How can you possibly have it if you're doing all the other stuff? Um,
Mhm.
it's an interesting thing. So, do you have a, a, you know, a, something that you would say to, I mean, for one of the things you always say, excuse me, because I pulled it out earlier on because I always find it so um, important. You talk about thoughts, feeling, energy, action, and environment.
Mm.
The elements of,
These are the elements of creation. These are the elements of manifestation, right? The five main: our thoughts, our feelings, our energy, our action, and our environment. Thoughts, feelings, energy, that's us being responsible for what we can't control our thoughts, but we can be intentional about our thought focus. And the more intentional we become about our thought focus, the more thoughts support what we actually want to experience rather than the negative looping of things that we don't. How we feel. How do I want to feel? How do I feel in this moment? I feel stagnant. I feel stuck. Okay, how do I want to feel? I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel radiant. Okay, what can I do to feel that way? Very simple questions can get us unstuck and into momentum and into, I feel like, sometimes I'll be hunched over my desk and I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling not very creative or inspired. Very simply asking, how do I feel? I feel bored. I feel, unmotivated. Okay, how do I want to feel? I want to feel creative. I want to feel energized. What can I do to feel that way? Sometimes it is simply shutting down my laptop and going for a walk, or getting up for 2 minutes and having a shake, shaking my body, or having a dance party. Once it was, what do I want to do in this moment? I really wish I was on the river paddleboarding. Okay, I'm going to do that, rather than I should be sat at my desk working. But it's not the best use of my energy and time right now. And what do you know? I went paddleboarding for the afternoon and had all of these like downloads and inspiration, went back to my laptop and got the work done in about half an hour that I was trying to force. So being intentional with how we feel. Energy, asking, does this energize me or does this drain me? A very quick check-in. Actions. Are your actions repetitive and for the sake of it, or are they really aligned not just with where you are now, but who you're saying you want to be and what you're saying you want to experience? How does that version of you show up? What actions are they taking? For example, if you're saying that you want to have a fit, lean, strong body that sees you through into a healthy older age, are you showing up as the person who has that, or are you putting off your gym membership and visits to one day? We all know when we ask these questions. And then environment, which is something that's not spoken about a lot. The people, places, and things that we're surrounded by are going to have a huge impact and influence on how we think, how we feel, our energy, and our actions. So the fastest way to manifest what you want is to get in the room with people, places, and things, be surrounded by people, places, and things that are living the kind of life you want, that are taking the kind of actions that you want. Go and be immersed in those environments, and you watch as your mindset starts changing. You start feeling differently. Your energy, you're energized, right? Your energy goes up, and you're taking different actions by default because you're surrounded by the example of that not only being possible, but people who are doing it.
Mhm. That is huge takeaway, and thank you so much for going through that, Louise. I've actually written that down so often when you say it to yourself, and it's very refreshing to go back over it. So thank you so much for doing that. We're going to take a couple of questions, guys. Okay, Max, you said, do you think actors have anything in common? Do you think actors have anything in common, Louise?
Actors have lots in common. Do you know one thing I will say on actors is actors are the best manifestors,
Ah, right.
or some of the best manifestors.
And
That's one thing I have been thinking about a lot recently, because one of the things I mentioned earlier that helps us to manifest more easily is the ability to live in our imagination with elevated emotion. And all of our acting training is about being able to do that, being able to fully embody the character. It's not about, so people often ask me as an actor, what's it like playing other people? And I'm never playing other people. I'm finding where that character, that energy lives within me. I'm embodying that version of me. And that's how we really intentionally manifest. It's about thinking like that person, feeling like that person, walking like that person. You will manifest things that's where we adjust our frequency. And so that is one thing that all actors have in common, good actors, is the ability to live in imagination with elevated emotion, which means that you can translate that to manifest what you want really, really powerfully.
Wonderful, because you said earlier that it's it's authenticity. But if you're excited about being authentic, if you are loving what you're doing, if you're passionate about doing your work well, I think, and bringing it, I mean, you're bringing things alive for people when you're acting, and so many people really appreciate that. We probably don't hear that very often. Maybe the celebrity status is what people think it's meant to be, but actually there's a great appreciation for what somebody is bringing to you on the screen. A quick aside, I came across Angela Lansbury one day, guys, down in Ballymaloe, I think it was, where she stayed very close to there in the summers. And she was very, very old. I mean, this is only a couple of years ago. And my own mum had just passed. And nobody really bothers her. And we don't really do that in Ireland. We don't really bother stars or celebrities or actors. But I had to go to her. And when I tapped her on the shoulder, she was so disgusted with me. What are you doing disturbing my day? And I looked at her and I said, I don't want to disturb you, but I do want to tell you that you were my mother's companion every afternoon of the last years of her life after my father passed. And she adored you. And the happiness and the pleasure you gave her meant the world to all of us. And she just beamed in this most gorgeous smile. And I felt my mum was saying, would you please tell her, that this is what you are. So there's a wonderful reciprocated pleasure in, I think, actors and people who bring to life the characters on the screen, so that we can all, live through them in a sense, really. So thank you, Louise, for that. I want to just go to Ruby. You said you loved the story. That possibly was the story about Louise and the move and getting the part in the film and meeting the lovely girl who had the actors staying in her family house. Megan, thank you, Megan, and thank you very much for what you had to say. This has meant an awful lot for Megan, one of our listeners here today, and I'm very grateful to you. Can we share Louise's Facebook and Instagram, please? I will do that. I promise you, everybody. When I send you out the link to the recording, I'm going to give you all of Louise's details and that, and you can contact her or join her groups and that kind of thing. She's very inspiring. Elizabeth Youngst is very inspirational and informative. Many thanks, Louise. And thank you, Trina, for arranging. You're more than welcome. And Katie, I always feel a fire igniting in me when I hear Louise talk. And the two of you talking together creates an even bigger fire. Well, Katie, don't explode. Oh. Thank you. Thank you for this evening. I was really looking forward to it. Louise, that's Katie, who absolutely adores you.
Hi, gorgeous. Thank you so much. It's so gorgeous to be here with you all.
Thank you. Has anybody got a question they'd like to ask Louise directly? You're more than welcome. You can unmute yourselves if you do. Take your time. Any aspiring actors, writers, business people in this group this evening? Hi. Hi. I'm looking at Megan, and it's Karen. How are you, Karen?
I don't know why Megan's name is on it. I paid the bill, so I don't know how she cheated that one and put her own name on it. So hi, Louise.
Hi, Megan.
So gorgeous to listen to you tonight. I have been a torment of Trina's lately, so she's guiding me and coaching me the way you did her. So she's been amazing to me.
You're a joy.
And when she spoke about you, even in the emails, I was like, I have to listen to this. I have to listen to this. And you have been so fascinating. I actually had a client due in tonight, and the universe conspired that she cancelled, and it's all good why she cancelled. So I was so elated and delighted. And it's very fascinating, everything you're saying about manifestation energy. It's stuff that I would have done over the years, but like that, I talk the talk and I tell all people this, but it's in my own. And not being stuck, but it's that fear-based stuff about moving from a good, income and all of this. I would have studied under Richard Bandler years ago doing NLP. So it's fascinating. But tonight of all nights, because I'm in this, I was reducing hours in work, and I was going to, leave work eventually and all of this. And only as of this week, I said to me hubby, actually, I've made a decision that I don't want to reduce hours anymore and be there 2 days for a set income. I want to be out of there. And so very delicately, I was saying to him, you know, I'm going to give me notice in soon, and I'm going to aim for kind of next March time, thinking I'll be very gentle with him, give him loads of time to get used to this. And yesterday I was going to work and I thought, oh my God, March is like a lifetime away to me at the minute. March is a lifetime. So today I had a client in, and whilst guiding her, the universe conspiring, I knew what I was saying to her was needed for me. So I think I'm giving me notice in, I'm going to be leaving by the end of the year. I told me hubby tonight, and he was like, oh, that's very soon now. You know, you said March, like that's my... So tonight was meant to be, and my guides brought me here. So I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure. Congratulations. I'm really excited for you, because you are in alignment with that decision now. You are. It's when we are so done, we're so sick of our own BS patterns, the things that aren't serving us, that you are really moving that energy into what you want, and you can only succeed because it's what is meant for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Now, I'm going to come back to Megan, who was actually Karen, in a few minutes. I saw other people applauding you there, Karen. So pleased for you. And you know, Louise isn't here by accident. There's her words, her book coming out at this time, her elevating her own career, and Louise is a speaker all over the world in wonderful retreats and seminars and conferences. And it was actually when I was listening to you speaking at one not so long ago that I realized, how have I never had Louise on this? Because we all need to hear what you have to say. I want to just quickly go to Ruby. Ruby has left a message. She said, powerful stuff as usual, Louise. I just want to say massive thank you as well, after even spending one day with you doing Manifestation Freq at the beginning of the year, and the shifts that have taken place since then. Doubled up with your book is such a support and a reminder of all of the important messages for all of us. There's the truth.
Thank you, Ruby. Such a pleasure. We had a gorgeous day together.
We did, and I have.
Thank you, there you are.
Hi.
It's so good to see your face.
Yeah, it's so lovely to be to see you both as well this evening, and yeah, it was so good to see that when it came up today, Trina. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to be on this call. I've got to get there. So yeah,
such a nice time.
And listening to you again, I can always listen to you, Luke. So it's really good, and lots of changes. I had so many great stuff that's happened, and things that were kind of unexpected, but have aligned and with my energy from, and like just stuff that was kind of laying dormant, and now I've got all this travel that's happening, and just a shift in some of my work, still doing the directory, but also another side, and really helping people with like community interest companies, and all of that kind of just happened really quickly after spending that day with you, and it was just incredible. So
it's what happens when you spend a day with me, because we're unavailable for anything less than what it is you truly desire. Thank you for saying. It's so good to hear that. Like, we haven't had time to catch up properly. I've been seeing it on social media, and it looks very cool stuff.
Thank you, darling. So and thanks. Great to be here. Thank you, Trina.
Oh, Ruby, it's an absolute pleasure. And would you mind putting, do you think you could put the how to connect with you as well in the chat box there, please? Because I know people will absolutely love your directory and your website and all sorts of other things. It's a rich resource of everything that we absolutely love here: holistic wellness, women's wisdom, all things wooey. Look, Ruby, get it in there, and we can all have a good look as well, please. And I will make sure that I have Louise's details into everybody tomorrow as well in the wider list. And thank you so much for so many of you coming here this evening as well. I know that you see, when something connects with you, you just have to follow your heart. And I love that so many of you wanted to come and meet Louise tonight. Louise, thank you so much. Your book, I've mentioned how we can get your book. Can I just ask you before we leave though, you are also in the process of writing something I think is really fascinating. You don't have to go into the subject matter of it, but is this, have you a plan long-term for the television series project?
Yes, thank you for asking. It's actually been a long time in the making, which these things often are. I wrote the the script for the pilot in 2019, and because of COVID and everything, it kind of got put on the back burner. This year, I've just gone back to having some meetings and pitching it, and I've started having some very exciting production meetings. So watch this space. Yeah, it's a World War II drama based on my grandfather's story, which is something I never thought would be something I did. And it came to me. It kept asking me to write it. And I had a period of 3 months where I wasn't coaching so much. I, had creative space. And in those 3 months, I wrote the screenplay, the whole show Bible, and the pilot script. So yeah, so that's something else I'm pitching at the moment for TV. So
I love that. Do you feel it's your grandfather, is it, or your granduncle?
my grandfather, yeah, he was
Do you feel him kind of beside you?
not so much, but he definitely has a hand in it. Like it's funny, I don't really feel energy in that way. I'm like clairaudient. I hear voices a lot. So I've said the quotes that I shared earlier, "You're the lighthouse, not the storm." I very clearly get messages, and so this was very much him speaking to me, right? So or it chose me, and for a long time I said no, I don't. It was coming to me as a movie that I needed to write and pitch. And I was like, I don't want to write a TV, movie. And then it came to me again in a different format. And I just kind of channeled all of the script, and so it's ready to go.
Oh, when the time is right, and we'll all be tuning into Netflix, BBC, or whoever.
I'll keep you posted.
Oh, Louise, this is the Mega Millions. We'll never be able to get you on again.
Always.
So much for giving us your time this evening. I really appreciate that. I don't know if you want to wait, because we're going back to Megan Karen. Karen she's a angelic medium. She's a psychic medium, and Karen has worked for many years with people at end-of-life care and also in grief counseling. But she's also a very, very highly intuitive psychic medium. And it's very interesting that this is what she was talking about there, that her work led her to what is her next absolute move. And that would be to work with people, bringing messages of hope and healing and all kinds of work that she's doing with people. So I've asked her just to pull 3 cards for us this evening. This is how we end our evenings. Somebody, either myself or our guest or Karen, is here this evening, so we've asked her if she pulled 3 cards. Do you mind waiting for just a moment while we do that?
Of course. Yeah, I'd love to.
So Karen, will you come back and give us the 3 cards? And thank you so much for agreeing to do that for us this evening.
Yes, of course I will. And actually, the first card I chose, actually, very interestingly and very, very, very good for tonight. Take a step back. So very, very, very interesting, definitely for me, and I'm sure for lots of people. So that card would be, asking you to step back from what is no longer serving you anymore. Whether it is a situation, outside of yourself, whether it is a career, whether it is a job, whether it's a conflict, slow down, pause, step back, and trust that everything will be okay. Everything is going to work out and be fine. Card 2 is Archangel Raguel, peace and harmony. So I should have said, actually, I wanted people, of course, I got myself caught up there. I wanted you to pick 1, 2, or 3. So whichever number resonates with you, choose. I should have said that in the beginning. I got myself too eager and too excited.
You're all right, Karen. They're used to this. This is the way we do that. So they're perfect. They've all picked their 1, 2, or 3 now, long before you.
That's grand. Because I confuse myself sometimes, let alone confusing others. I get too excited when it comes to the angels, or as you well know, Trina. So yeah, Archangel Raguel, peace and harmony. So it's about resolutions. It's about inner kind of conflicts with yourself, conflicts with others. Again, slow down, let go. The angels are here to help you in the moment, resolve with peace, with love, with compassion. So also it's about kind of sending love and compassion to yourself and resolving whatever inner struggles or turmoils, forgiving yourself for kind of situations in the past or whatever is eating you away at the minute, kind of causing issues and conflict. Trust that the angels will help resolve and bring whatever situation internally or externally with a peaceful resolution. So the third one, the miracle of forgiveness. Archangel Jeremiah. So they all actually were kind of quite adept and relevant. So let go of fear. Choose love instead. And, you know, stop being so critical. Stop berating yourself. Stop trying to fix everything. You know, pause, slow down, you know, and go within, as Louise very clearly said, going within, slowing down and listening to yourself, having compassion for yourself as well as others, and, you know, forgiving yourself for whatever, and also sending love and forgiveness to others. So I hope they have, you know, some of that has been relevant to whoever.
Oh, Karen, thank you so much. That's fabulous. There's something there for everyone. And I know after we do this every week, I often get texts afterwards or emails afterwards, and you will not believe how that was exactly the right card for me, or that was the right piece of advice or message for me. So thank you very much. And in fact, the same thing goes for our speaker, because I feel that often there's one sentence, one idea, one concept, one perspective that our speakers each week actually can come out with that may change the whole course of somebody's life, because it's exactly what they needed to hear. So thank you, Karen. I'm going to go back to Louise before we go again. And Louise, if you're there, there's a number of thank yous for a lovely evening and well done. Well done, Karen also is there too. Ruby, thank you for putting that information up. Anybody who'd like to follow that link is there. So Louise, I just want to go to you and say good evening, good night to you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a joy to connect with you all and have this conversation. Thank you for making my Tuesday night.
Oh, it's been such a thrill for me. I haven't actually spoken to you in person for so long, but it is absolutely lovely to see you, Louise. And can I just say, everybody, Louise has a birthday this weekend, so we're going to send her lots of really good vibes and frequency for a wonderful year ahead, Louise. I hope it turns out to be absolutely all your dreams come true, manifesting everything
Thank you
for yourself.
Thank you so much.
You've been super, and thank you for everything. And we're going to say goodbye to everybody now, and we'll see you next time. Thank you again, Lou. Okay, take care, everybody. Good night. Bye.